Shalom, shalom. I'd like to start off first and foremost by giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Rachakadash. Double honors to the elders and the apostles of Great Millstone, who rule and teach well. Peace, love, salutations, and blessings to those that are doing this work in truth and in sincerity. This is your brother Nathaniel from the GMS Camp Atlanta, coming back at you through the Spirit with another lesson, and I pray and hope this lesson is edifying. This is Isaiah 14:6. I'm gonna start at verse 5. You know what? Verse 14, 4 and 14. It says that thou shalt take up a parable against the king of Babylon and say, how have the oppressors ceased, and the golden city ceased? The Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked, and the scepter of the rulers. He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. He that ruled the nations in anger, and persecuted, and none hindereth. Okay? So this devil, he has been ruling the nations with a continual stroke and wrath and anger. And if you just hear some of the things that these people say, the ones that are in power, the little hats, right? They don't think much of the people of the world. This is why they do the things that they do. Okay? And now the world is turning on them. So I have a video here in America too, because America, Lisa the Frocks to draw them out. They're joined by the hip, by these, they join to the hip of these small hatters, and they're committing all type of atrocities, and they expect that when they participate in something that they're supposed to be welcomed with open and loving arms. It shows you the cognitive dissonance and the straight delusion that these people have. So I have a clip, which we all done seen it already, but I'm gonna play it. You can't really find the original clip anymore, but I have a clip here where, America and Israel is getting booed. And they expect, this shows you the delusion of these people. They expect after all of the wickedness that is coming to pass and what the world is finding out about them, that they're supposed to be welcomed. Let me go to Obadiah. This is Obadiah 1 and 2. It says, behold, I have made thee small among the heathen, thou art greatly despised. Okay, greatly despised. Now, we're going to look into that word despised. It says, to despise in contempt, disdain, to despise, regard with contempt, to be despised, to be despicable, to be vile, worthless. Okay? And that's what these people are. They're despicable. They're despicable people, evil people, wicked people. Okay? And they expect to step out on the world stage, and people welcome them with open arms, with love and gratitude. For what? For what? You all rape, steal, and murder, everyone in the world, and this is the outcome. Now, I have another video with Shahid Bolson right here, and he's going to basically go over what the nations feel, all right, and how all of these evils, are coming back on to them. So without further ado, let's let it play.
To leave America when your bombs were falling on other people's heads. You didn't feel it when you were enjoying the fruits of America's pillage abroad, when the insecurity and the terror was overseas and you felt safer because of it. when your shelves were stocked, when your gas was cheap, and your pizza was guaranteed delivery in 30 minutes or less, you were fine being an American and living in America. When we were the ones getting kidnapped by your masked men in our streets and thrown into the backs of unmarked black vans and locked up in cement boxes with blindfolds on, beaten and electrocuted and humiliated to preserve your democracy, you weren't applying for a passport then. You weren't Googling which country in Asia has the lowest currency against the dollar at that time. You understand? Where was the moral urgency when the United...
No, he's talking about these Edomites, these YT people over here in America, because they're trying to flee the nation now. They have a whole history of the wickedness that they've done, and this is the MO of the so-called white man. You know, he doesn't want to be accountable for any of the evil that he's done on the planet Earth. He looks at the evil as he's done as nothing. Okay, and that's you have to understand that's for good reason, because they were actually designed to be the wicked. Okay, they're designed, they were created to do evil, so they don't look at evil in the same eye we look at evil. Okay, because they were made to be evil. So when something is made to be that way, you know, when they're made to be wicked, you know, you have to understand that they're just doing what they were created to do. All right, they were doing what they were created to do. Now, does it change the fact that they're going to get punished? No. All right, and we're gonna finish this video and finish letting him speak. But let's bring out the book of Psalms, because we're seeing all of these things come back on him. This is Psalms 7 and 16. I'm gonna start at verse 15. You know what? Let's start at 14. It says, "Behold, he traveleth with iniquity, and hath conceived mischief, and brought forth falsehood." And that's exactly what this devil has done. He's conceived mischief and brought forth falsehood. Everything that he does is false, you know, evil, wicked, an inversion of what things are supposed to be. He inverts things, all right, and make you think that the reverse of what it really is supposed to be is how it's supposed to be. You know, as the scriptures say, "Woe for him that calls bitter sweet and sweet bitter, and put good for evil and evil for good." You see? That's what he does. All right. So he brings forth false good in his medicine, in his food, in his democracy, and everything that he does, he brings forth falsehood. All right. Verse 15, it says, "He made a pit and he diggeth it, and is fallen into the ditch which he made." So all of these things that this devil has done is going to come back on him. All right. As it says in verse 16, which is the point, it says, "His mischief shall return upon his head, and his violent dealing shall come down on his plate." All right. You don't. He thinks that he's going to get away with this, but he's not. His violent dealings are going to come down on his plate and on his head.
The United States was sanctioning and starving whole societies. You didn't say, "I need to get out of this country because it's doing evil actively across the earth and I want no part of it." You didn't say that then. When the evil was that,
which shows you the hypocrisy of these people. It's cool when it's done to somebody else, but when it's done onto me, it's not cool. Okay, I gotta seek some type of refuge for it.
Directed outwards, let's be honest. You didn't disavow that evil until it stopped paying dividends. Let's tell the truth. Until it stopped paying dividends and it started wanting to collect back from you. You didn't mind the evil when it was being sent out, but you sure can't stand it once it comes home. And your panic now about having to face what you made millions upon millions of innocent people all around the world face.
Millions? No. Billions. Billions of people. Billions upon billions. Okay? It's 8.5 billion people in this planet right now. And this roughly. And this devil has been ruling for hundreds of years. Okay? So he's been doing this stuff to billions of people for a very long time. All right? So this isn't something new. He just found a more efficient way to do it in this newfound Roman Empire, which we call America, aka Babylon the Great.
We're supposed to take that as the awakening of your conscience. No, you enjoyed the meal, but now you want to skip out on the bill. I'm just telling you like it is. Now suddenly, right, suddenly the same people who once treated the horrors that their country was committing in the global south, they treated those horrors as nothing but abstract background noise in their lives. Now those same people are looking for escape routes to the global south. And that's supposed to be a sign of your virtue? Look, when America's death squads were swarming all over the lands of the global south, these people were sipping their cappuccinos and debating about pronouns. You understand? You had your pop music volume turned all the way up to drown out the sounds of our screaming and weeping. But now they're coming for you and your neighbors. They're coming for you. They're sealing off your country so no one can get in or out. And now you're starting to feel like a fish in a barrel. You're starting to feel like a fish in the barrel, and the shotguns are all pointed at you. And right at that moment, suddenly you have an epiphany about how evil your country is. When just basically a watered down version of the colonial machinery, right, is pressing down on you now with the militarized police, with the ICE, with the crackdowns, the clampdowns, the restrictions on speech, restrictions on protest, intensifying belligerence by the state. You got inflation, deprivation, job layoffs. A comparatively mild version of the neoliberal program that you rammed through economy after economy after economy in the global south, breaking the backs of one country after another. And now you want out. Now you want out because you're getting a mild version of that. I mean, think about it. This is not moral outrage. It's outrage about privilege reduction. It's consequence avoidance. The actions of your country against everyone else never prompted you to emigrate. But when the consequences of those actions come, you start packing your bags. Look, even your pleas for escape and for rescue are coming from that same instinct that kept you silent during all of those evil actions for all those decades. You didn't feel any desperation to leave America when your bombs were falling on other people's heads. You didn't feel it when you were enjoying the fruits of America's pillage abroad, when the insecurity and the terror was overseas and you felt safer because of it, when your shelves were stocked, when your gas was cheap, and your pizza was guaranteed delivery in 30 minutes or less, you were fine being an American and living in America. When we were the ones getting kidnapped by your masked men in our streets and thrown into the backs of unmarked black vans and locked up in cement boxes with blindfolds on, beaten and electrocuted and humiliated to preserve your democracy, you weren't applying.
All right, so he thinks that he thinks that for some reason, somehow, he's gonna get away with it. But nah, my man's, you about to drink of that cup. You ain't leaving. You ain't escaping. This is Jeremiah 49:12. Jeremiah 49:12. It says, "For thus saith the Lord, behold, they whose judgment was not to drink of the cup have surely drinking, and art thou he that should altogether go unpunished?" You see, and that's what these devils think. They think that they can do all of the stuff that they did and they can just escape and go somewhere else and start all over. No. It says, "Thou shalt not go unpunished, but thou shalt surely drink." Drink of it. You're going to drink of it, man. You're going to drink of this cup. As a matter of fact, you're going to drink double of it. You're going to get double the portion. Okay? The curses are already starting to fall upon you. Your women are starting to call you out. Everywhere I look, you see an Edomite woman talking shit about the Edomite man. Okay? Talking about how wicked they revealing more of their secrets than anybody else. It's a damn Edomite woman. Like she's innocent, but she ain't innocent either. Okay? But you can see that the curses are being put upon you. Okay? As it says in the book of Deuteronomy 30:7. It says, "And the Lord thy power will put all these curses upon thine enemies and on them that hate thee, which persecuted thee." Okay? So you're going to drink of that cup because you persecuted us. All y'all nations did, but not like Amalek and not like Esau Edom. Okay? This is why they're going to get the worst of all of the punishments. Okay? You didn't sit there and said that you can just, those are goyim. We can do what we want to do with them because they're our slaves. Okay. Well, the Lord said that He got a problem with that. Okay. This is Zechariah. Zechariah 11 and 5, and it says, whose possessors slay them and hold themselves not guilty, and they that sell them say, blessed be the Lord, for I am rich, and their own shepherds pity them not. So you think just because you've been in this position for so long that you're gonna stay in this position? No, you're gonna drink of this cup, man. All right. You see already that you're getting booed on the world stage, so you're greatly despised. The world don't like you, right? And now you're trying to flee the very place that you created. Don't you understand that evil always turns in on itself and it eats itself every single time? Okay? Wickedness can only go so far before it starts to turn on itself. And that's exactly what's happening. You don't put all these provisions and things in place to protect yourself and to stop certain groups from coming into power, or even just to be self-sufficient, right? And all those things that you've done are now starting to come back and haunt you. You thought you were going to be able to get away by hiding in history. You can't. The Lord done revealed you. You ain't going to get no cat back in the bag. All right? You through, Esau. Okay? You done stroked the world with violence, with a continual stroke. All right? Even when your kingdom is falling, you still holding on to power and doing exceeding wickedness, even at your last, at your, they say a candle flickers the most violent right before it goes out. All right. This is the book of Revelation 11 and 18. And it says, and the nations were angry, and the wrath is come, and the time of the dead, that they should be judged. And thou shalt give it the reward unto thy servants, the prophets, and the saints, and them that fear thy name, small and great, and shouldest destroyeth them which destroyeth the earth. And isn't that not you, Esau Edom? What are you doing? You can't even go outside without getting sick because he keeps spraying this barium and aluminum and smart dust on people, thinking that they ain't gonna catch on to what you're doing. You know, you got Gil Bates out here creating these different viruses and diseases to infect people with. We now done come out that I believe, you know, that which we knew it all along, okay? That this whole thing with the C-19 was a psyop to see if the world would comply. How would they comply? And now they got the information that they need. That most people will comply if given a pandemic situation, if it's for their safety. Okay. And look what happened to all y'all that took the jump shot. Getting myocarditis, your heart through, your health is through. My pops took that shot. I ain't heard from him in a long time. You know, and I know other brothers, or know of other brothers whose family took them shots too. I've heard of people dropping dead off of taking them jump shots, that boo boo juice that they putting in their arm. And who created that? Who put that out there? Who created the scenario to get people to take that? All right. Your iniquity and your evil is just about full, and the Lord is going to judge you. And it's going to be a mighty judgment at that. Okay? Because you thought that you was going to be able to continue to get away with all the things that you got away with. But we see that the nations are angry. They're upset. All right? Because you lied to them. One more precept. This is Jeremiah. Jeremiah 51:7. And it says, I'm gonna start at verse 6. It says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul." And it's not talking about physically leaving Babylon. It's fleeing out the ways of this place, because there's nowhere you're gonna go in the world where you can be able to escape judgment. And then you can still go somewhere else and still have a Babylonian mind state. You know, they say there's a saying saying you can take the man out of the hood, but you can't take the hood out of the man. You see, so that's the same type of mind. That's the same type of that's a metaphor, you know, for this right here. You know, you got to take Babylon out your mind. You got to wash your mind. All right. Verse 6 says, again, it says, "Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquities, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. He will render unto her a recompense." This is why Babylon is greatly despised, and everything that these devils do is coming out. It's coming out because the Lord is letting the world know that He's about to judge this place and y'all other nations too, because y'all can get a little bit of it too. And it says, "Behold," it says, Slakia, "Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hands, that made all the earth drinking." Because all these other nations have adopted the philosophies of Babylon. You know, you got the women rolling around like whores, right? Babylon and made it to where the women are above the man. You know, you got everybody another name like over there in China and Japan. They're not wearing the kimonos no more. They're wearing the tight suit with the phallic symbol. You know, with the penis hanging down down their neck. They call it a tie, which is really a phallic symbol. You know, when you start learning what these things actually symbolize, you're like, ugh. You know, but he made the world drink with that. He made them drunken with that because, you know, on the outside looking in, it looked like Babylon is a great place. Then you rub shoulders with this person, and then you actually get money too. And you're like, man, this is a good place. But then you start to learn the wickedness that these people have done to obtain what they got, right? And how this evil is festering into your society, right? And you're starting to see your stuff collapse because of your association with them. Because you drank of that wine. You believed in this democracy. You believed in that wickedness, right? So now you are actually feeling the effects of the wickedness of Babylon by participating in this. All right. So it says, Babylon had been the golden cup in the Lord's hands that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drinking of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. And as I brought out in Obadiah, this whore is greatly despised among all of the nations. Okay, and we see that, and it's just going to get worse. All right, it's just going to get worse. It's not going to get any better. All right, so that was pretty much it. I'm gonna end it there, giving all praises, glory, and honor to Yahweh, Ba'Shem, Yahweh Shai, Ba'Shem Makar Kadash. Double honors to our elders and the apostle, great millstone. To the next time, I say shalom.